Martial Arts in Aurora. Today I'm going to be running our Premier Martial Arts curriculum video for all ages. And let's get started. Let's go ahead, pull our feet together, set, and bow. Now, before we begin our warm-up, I want to go back to doing our student creed. So, here in a second, I'm going to put the student creed up on the screen, and I want you guys to follow along. Go ahead, read it out loud. If you have it memorized, don't read it. Close your eyes and still say it out loud. We'll see you guys in just a second. Now that you've done the student creed, let's get started with our warm-up. Now we're going to do a fun jumping jack warm-up drill today where we're going 4 different directions. And all we're going to do is 10 jumping jacks. So we're going to start facing one direction. We'll say facing toward the screen. We'll do 1 jumping jack. Here, 1. Then I'm going to turn to my right and I'm going to do 1 jumping jack to my right. 1. Then I'm going to turn all the way around facing away from the screen. 1, and then to my left, or the left of where I started, and 1. Once I've done 1, all 4 directions, then I'll do 2, then I'll do 3, then I'll do 4, all the way up till I get done with my 10 jumping jacks. Go ahead, take a minute to warm yourself up with this jumping jack drill. Now that we're warmed up with our jumping jack drill, let's get started with some kickboxing techniques for today. Now, let's go to our guard stance. And remember, when we're in our guard stance, I want to hope that you guys are practicing self-discipline. Remember, self-discipline is when you do what you know you're supposed to without being told. And what I mean by that is when you're in your guard stance, I want to make sure that you guys are keeping your hands up. You can show self-discipline even though I'm not there with you by making sure that you're in a strong guard stance and your hands are up protecting yourself. Now let's go to our guard stance together. Very good. 1 foot is in the front, 1 foot is in the back. Our weight is kind of balanced, and our hands are most importantly up and protecting ourselves. Now our first kickboxing combination today is just going to be our jab, cross, and then our front leg snap kick. So we're just going to go jab, cross, front leg snap kick. Now, if you've seen some of the previous videos of Mr. Tim talking about this, that front leg snap kick, we're going to drag our weight toward the back, but remember to keep our chin down and pointed to the floor. Don't let your chin come up when you kick. Make sure that it's tucked down toward the floor as you lean back for that snap kick. So let's break it down a little bit slower. Let's start with our jab. When I'm throwing that front hand out, I want to make sure that I do 2 really important things. The first thing is I want to make sure that my elbow doesn't come up before my arm is extended. I don't want my elbow leading the way. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my elbow down. And the second thing is I want to make sure that I'm rotating and extending that shoulder as best I can. If I rotate and extend my shoulder should actually come up and protect the side of my face. So I'm here. Let's start with our jab, making sure that we extend it all the way and our elbow stays down. I want you to throw 30 jabs, nice and slow, just like this to begin our combination. 30 times. Now that we've done our jab, let's practice our cross a little bit. Our cross is our backhand. It's called our cross because it comes across our body. So I'm going to keep those 2 major aspects that we practiced on the jab in play with my cross. Not letting my elbow come up and making sure that I extend that shoulder as I come out. Rotating my body, really extending that cross and making sure that I'm using that shoulder to protect the side of my face. I want you to practice 30 crosses now, nice and slow with perfect technique. Now that we've practiced that cross, let's go to the last technique in our combination, which is that front leg snap kick. Making sure that I chamber, I kick, and then I chamber is what is going to be the most important part about this. I need that nice high chamber before I kick, and I need to go back to that chamber to control the speed of the kick, but also to help me maintain my balance. I don't want to be lazy and just kind of throw my leg up like this, because that technique's never going to work. What I need to do is make sure that I get that high chamber, kick it all the way out, pull it back to that chamber, and put it down. I want you to practice 30 nice and strong, slow chamber, kicks, back to your chamber, and back down. Now that we've done 30 jabs, 30 crosses, and 30 snap kicks with our front leg, let's actually practice the combination now. Nice and strong, jab, cross, snap kick. I want you to start slow and then build that speed up. Jab, cross, snap kick. Then a little faster. Jab, cross, snap kick. And then ultimately getting to where you can do it as fast as you possibly can. Making sure that I'm showing that discipline and keeping my hands up. Once you've done 30 of the full combination, jab, cross, snap kick, I want you to switch your stance, and I want you to go through this whole sequence from the other stance. Starting with your jab, practicing it, making sure your elbow's staying down, 30 then with my cross, then 30 with my snap kicks, and then 30 of the whole combination, just like we did in our natural stance. Now that we're done with our kickboxing combination, practicing it 30 times, each technique, and then 30 times with the combination, let's move on to a little bit of our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practice. Now, here at Premier Martial Arts, we're a complete mixed martial arts school, which means that we are going to teach a variety of styles in every single class. Whether that's kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, or some of the self-defense martial arts like Krav Maga, Kali, Arnis, and then also Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is great for self-defense off of the ground, but it's also a very fun and mentally engaging exercise. So let's get started with a little bit of our Jiu-Jitsu practice today. Let's get started with our Jiu-Jitsu burpees. When I do a Jiu-Jitsu burpee, it's going to be very similar to just a regular burpee, except for I'm going to add in a technique called a kick out. A kick out is something that we do in Jiu-Jitsu, or you probably will do in wrestling if you ever do wrestling. A kick out is when I'm moving my leg underneath my body, lifting my opposite hand, and then replacing it. Almost like a mountain climber, but a little bit more breakdancery. So let me show you. I'm going to start standing up, then I'm going to go down to a push-up position, right? I'm down here in my push-up position, but instead of going to a regular push-up position, for our Jiu-Jitsu burpees, we're going to keep a good amount of bend in our knees. So when you do a regular burpee, you would go to a perfect push-up position, right? But for today's video, for our Jiu-Jitsu burpees, I want you to keep a bend in your knees here, kind of soft, like so. I want to think about keeping my back as flat as I can and my core nice and tight in this position. Now I'll add in the kick out. So I'm going to lift one of my legs in the opposite hand, and I'm going to kick that leg out from underneath me. Like I said, almost like a breakdancer, right? Here, kicking out, and then I'm going to replace that here. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Opposite foot to opposite hand, up to my breakdancer position, back in, and then I jump. Watch it from the front. I start standing, down, kick, kick, and up. Watch it again, but really pay attention to making sure that I'm keeping my core engaged. Can you see if my core is engaged? Just like that. For our today's practice, I want you to get started with 30 of our Jiu-Jitsu burpees. All right, now that we've done our Jiu-Jitsu burpees to warm up, I want everyone to take a nice deep breath in, breathe it out, relax for a second. Our technique for today for our Jiu-Jitsu training is going to be our Kimura sweep, or often referred to as our sit-up sweep. Now, this is a great sweep to practice not only for Jiu-Jitsu, but also for self-defense. Now, one of the nice things about this technique is you guys will be able to practice this at home without needing a partner. Remember to practice social distancing, keeping yourself healthy and safe during this quarantine time. So you can do this completely by yourself like I'm going to show you today. Now, for our Kimura sweep or our Kimura sweep or our get-up sweep, we're going to be starting from a guard position, which means that the person I'm fighting or my opponent is in between my legs. So they're going to be in between my legs here, and I'm going to be doing everything that I can to get off of my back. Now, as you can imagine, if in a self-defense situation, they could be punching me, elbowing me. They could do a lot of damage from on top because gravity is their partner in this situation. So I need to get on top of them as fast as I can. Now for my Kimura sweep, typically I like to start off by gaining control of my opponent. Whether that's control with their head or hooking their arms, or if I can't get either of those, I can hug their belly and put my head against their stomach to make it easier for me to defend my head. Right? I don't want to just lay here and let them punch me in the face. I want to make sure that I'm up and engaged in that self-defense situation. Now, from here, I'm going to pull on them, which causes an opposite of reaction of them pulling themselves back up. If I ever pull on someone, they're going to pull back up. If I push on someone, they're going to push back. Opposites for jiu-jitsu always apply in this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on their head, their arms, their belly, whatever it may be, to get them to posture away from me, lifting their body away from me. Now typically, people will put their hands on the ground to get this position, right? They're going to push themselves up off of me, and they're going to have their hands on the floor. Now, I get to use my Kimura sweep or my sit-up sweep. What I want to do is I want to pick which side I want to go to. So if I'm going to my left side here, I'm going to sit all the way up to my hand. Now, with my opposite hand, I'm going to reach around their head. I don't want my arm to be trapped on their head here. I want it to come to the other side. So imagine their head here. Instead of it being trapped and blocked here, I'm going all the way around. That way I can wrap around their shoulder. From this position, I'm going to then bridge my hips and lift. I'm going to go to the side and sweep, ending on top of them in the mounted position. Watch again. I start by getting some sort of control. They're trying to punch me. They're trying to do different things. I pull on them. They pull away. And as they do, I follow them. I sit all the way up to my hand, not my elbow. All the way up to my hand. I reach around their head, around their shoulder. I use my hips to buck. And ultimately, I end up on top. Now, one of the nice things about the Kimura sweep is, if it's not successful, here, I get to this position, I wrap their shoulder, and they do a great job of driving into me. Then I'm just going to fall down and go to my Kimura shoulder lock, which you guys will see when you come to jiu-jitsu class after we open up. All right, that's it for jiu-jitsu practice today. Make sure that you're practicing your Kimura sweep about 30 times. You can go both directions. And remember to get all the way up to your hand and to buck super strong with your hips. That is all for today, students. You all did a great job. Give yourself a pat on the back. I do hope that everyone is staying both physically and mentally active. Do please stay safe. If you haven't already watched Mr. Tim's video on positive self-image, that is our Black Belt Excellence theme of the month of April. So do make sure you watch that and complete your homework. You can email us either a screenshot of it, a picture of it, or you can type it up on the computer and you can send it that way. That's all for today. You guys have a safe weekend. Ready? Feet together, set, and bow.